The final step here is exporting. And what you may want to do is time your work so that it's easy to line up. So if you press the plus sign, you'll go into your timeline. And if you hold down shift, your slider will snap. So I'm going to set this pace to 10 seconds. So I'm setting the offset directly to 10 seconds. And remember, if you've set the timing on this one, you have to also set the timing on this one so that it lines up. All right, so that's one important sort of thing to remember. And then because I want this to stop maybe at 30 seconds, I'm going to go to 30. I can hold down shift, or let's see, I'm just going to hold down shift. And if you press N, it'll move your playhead to right there. So we should get a perfect loop right when we come back to this point here. And again, it's going slow. Let's go preview. Let's do down to a third, just so we can make sure that this is actually running correctly. And a little slow because we're also doing video. We'll just do this again, make sure. So you may have to like finagle it a little bit. Maybe you want to go back one frame from 30. Actually get it to line up right on 30. Because if it's set to 10 frames, cool, that was perfect. That looked good. You can see that there was no sort of gap. So you might need to drag your work area back directly to where you need it to go. Once you have this, if we go to File, and you could also, the other alternative is do Control or Command K and set your duration to 30 dot. And that's because I set it for 10. So if I set the offset at 10 seconds exactly, times 2 times 3. Then I go to File, Export, add to media encoder queue. Exporting from here is much better because you have options for H.264 and MP4, and it just makes it much easier to work with. So inside here, you just got to wait for it to load. Sometimes it takes a while, sometimes it goes really quickly, depending on your computer. You want to click on this middle item here, and then choose your file type. Normally, I had exported a GIF previous to this, so I'm going to go to H.264, which makes an MP4. Look at your width and height. This should be, if you set up your file correctly, in the composition, this should be the same. Click on the output name in blue to choose where you're going to save it. And I'm going to save it inside this walk cycle folder. Maybe I'll make a new folder for exported videos. And complete walk cycle. Cool. I recommend that you check when you're scrolling in here, render at maximum depth and use maximum render quality. Those will give you good results. The rest of it can sort of stay the same for right now. And you'll notice you have some options. You could edit the timing in here. So you could set it to be different. So then this is just a custom. If you do an entire composition, that's going to be the length of the composition. Work area is what I want because that's what I had inside my piece. You would say OK. And then you hit the play button up at the top. And that will render out your video. It may go quickly or really slowly again, depending on what you're working with. And then you can watch it. Double click. And let's move it over here. Let's see if we move it to the end. Loop perfectly. Let's move it to the end. Come back down. that little delay is in the video itself, but in the player itself. But that loops spot on. That's great. And now you've got this nice looping element inside your animation. And so that's all the steps together.